Morning from the sunny shores of California, and good evening from the beautiful night of Mumbai. That's right. The Highbury squad is very global. This is the Women's Football Show. This is HSHQ. Let's talk football.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello everyone, this is what we call an episode drop, a live one too. Many brands do it. And it's also Wednesday Women, and I am absolutely delighted to be joined by one of your firm favourites, Anu. Welcome back to the show.
It's great to be back. Hello to all the squaddies as well.
How is your evening in Mumbai right now?
It's raining. We're still at the tail end of the monsoon, so it's very rainy. Well, otherwise good.
Well, yeah. Well, sounds so glamorous when you say Mumbai. I love it. It's very international, and the Highbury Squad is definitely an international show. This is the first of 2 episodes today, you guys. We'll be back in a few hours with Kevin. And then tomorrow, there's another 2 a day as well, Anu. We've got the stateside squad. Good Morning Gunners is back with a very special guest, I think you'll know. Seaton O'Connor, one of the Danettes from the Dan Patrick Show. Yeah. Together with JJ Garcia, who you guys have met before and is a cast member of the Total Bellas show. And JJ will be alongside me for the stateside squad, as will many other fan ambassadors this season. But today is not about that. It is about the women's team. Let me tell you, I'm very excited. So here's where I wanted to start with you, Anu. What I love is your perspective, because you've lived in the United States for a few years now. You're back in Mumbai for a little bit, but you followed the US women's game closely, the men's game, and of course the WSL, which I think is going to be on fire this season. So I just wanted to start really with Arsenal Women's Football Club and the summer signings. It felt for a while the team was so reliant on Miedema to kind of, pull the team along. And I think they needed to make some major signings in order to keep her this season. I know she's only 25 years old, which is insane that she's 25 and she's reached these lofty heights already. But let's start off with Tobin Heath, someone that you and I followed for quite some time. I've had the pleasure of covering Tobin here for the US women's national team over a number of years. She's an absolute baller. She played at Manchester United last season, 4 goals, 11 assists. But my goodness, 177 caps for her country, 2 World Cups. She's played in the Olympics. She is a very special player. And I think Arsenal fans who don't know too much about her are going to absolutely love her.
I agree. And it's a huge thing, the fact that Tobin Heath is here, because I saw a lot of tweets as well from people who'd been watching and following her for the US Women's and when she was playing over in America as well, talking about the importance of signing a player of that caliber. I mean, we are but for a player like Tobin Heath, I think it's huge.
You were breaking up a lot there, Anu. You yeah, just take it from the top. You that completely broke up. So yeah.
Okay, no, I will go again. Okay. This is probably because I've tried to set up the internet to not have it interfere with the rain, but hopefully it won't give us too many troubles.
No problem. And if it does, you can always hop out and hop back in. No problem.
I can do that. Yes.
All right.
No, I was saying that the fact that we were able to sign someone like Tobin Heath it's huge, even for a club like Arsenal, which has been historically dominant in the women's game. It's a huge signing by whichever way you look at it. And it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think with Tobin, what she's going to do is she's the type of player, Anu, that can score wonder goals. I mean, she is not only intricate in build-up play, She's unafraid to carry the ball. And I think that was really important to support Miedema, because not only, is she able to kind of do special things, but Tobin is also able to, take defenders with her, take players with her, which is going to open up spaces for other players. And that's kind of been her mantra, hasn't it? That's the type of player that she is.
Absolutely. And I don't know if did you see the interview that Jonas did with Tim Stillman on Arsenal News after we signed Tobin Heath?
No, go on. What was said? I missed that.
No, and he said, and I thought that was very interesting, because obviously, we have a lot of really dominant scoring players in midfield and up front. So we didn't really require a signing. This wasn't a position that was, where we needed more depth or anything like that. And he just said, no, she's a player that can give us points, and it's a signing of intent. And I definitely agree, because it can also help the other players, because we're going to be playing so many games, being in all the competitions as well. And we've still got the FA Cup, from last season to continue as well. So
we've got Spurs in the next round of the FA Cup as well.
Quarter final, bring it in. It's going to be great having
another whipping.
North London derbies this September, all of them.
Oh my gosh, it's coming thick and fast. But that's a really good point, because she's the type of player that can take a 1-1, a draw, and then do something really special. And if you haven't seen Tobin play, you guys will really enjoy her. She's coming back. She came back from a really terrible injury as well, which cut her time at Manchester United a little bit short.
Yeah.
Another signing that I think is really exciting. I've been a huge fan of Nikita's for a long time.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely love her. She's played for those of you who don't know, Nikita's played for Everton, Manchester City and Lyon. She's won 10 trophies. And already has 50 caps. And here's what I like, other than Tobin, who I think she's 33. The other signings I'm going to mention and we're going to talk about are at that peak age. Nikita's 27 years old. Tell me what you love about her the most and what she's going to bring to the squad this season.
I think the most important is her ability to score, but also create movement, link up with players like Miedema, and we have Eva Bucci as well, and Mead, and just the fact that she's played in Europe at the highest level, she's won Champions Leagues, she's basically experienced everything there is to experience. So I think having someone like that at the age she's at is very exciting for us.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, because not only Tobin brings that winning baller mentality, she doesn't suffer any falls. The US women's national team, as everyone has seen, is completely ruthless on the international stage, and trailblazers. They really set the tone for where women's football can be. And I do believe that they had a huge part to play in the NWSL growth in the US, but also the NWSL, then, I think the WSL felt challenged by that too. So we'll talk about that part a little bit later on. But you mentioned Iwabuchi, another absolute baller. Love this player. And here's what I love the most about this signing, Anu, is the relationship she already has with Miedema. They played together at Bayern Munich. They're best friends off the pitch. Again, another signing, 28 years old, won multiple trophies, absolute legend for her country, Japan. Tell me what you love about Mana.
Can I pick everything? No, everyone saw how she was as well.
I think we're losing Anu a little bit. Got you back?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Okay. No, I said her link-up play is something that isn't talked about as much, I think. I mean, she's on link-up play is going to be really crucial for us.
Yeah, she's, she is a very creative player. She has a lot of, I think there's a lot of bravery in her game. She's unafraid to take on players. We saw that she missed a really good chance against Chelsea. That would have been superb if she could have buried that chance. I think she was super disappointed that she sent it sky over the bar. But again, another really great signing for the club. And of course, Frida Marnum, that not a lot of people know about. She's only 22 years old, Norwegian player, Anu, and she already has 33 caps for her country. But definitely a star in the making. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And you can see how much the coach already trusts her. Like, you saw what he was doing in the game, like what she was had to do with McCabe, going on the left. And she was trying to kind of help out. I'm not sure if I'm on.
Why don't you go back out and come back in? And then
I'll try that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Try that. So, the team have made major investments, you guys, this summer, and they really needed to. Like I said at the top of the show, Miedema was carrying the team, and there was this real fear. And if you read Tim Stillman's stuff over at Arseblog, Tim is on Arsenal Vision as well. He's been a true champion for the game. He's been writing about the Arsenal women's team for years and years. He knows it inside out. And I think the new coach is bringing a really interesting style, new energy. And the fact that we've made these investments really shows a few things. Number one, the intent to win the league this season. And number two, to make sure that we keep our superstar like Miedema, because, she is so integral and important to this. But the amount of games that she played last season, I mean, it's exhausting, because I know there's only 22 games in the league, Anu, but then you've got the cup games, you've got Europe as well. And, at 25 years old, we have to protect the biggest asset at Arsenal Women's Football Club. And so these players coming in are going to really help the new coach manage that process.
I think I came in like halfway.
I was talking about Miedema's, she played so many minutes last season. And so to have these to have Iwabuchi come in, to have Tobin Heath come in, to have Nikita Paris come in, it gives the new coach lots of options to make sure that we manage her minutes in a much more effective way.
Absolutely. And you can see like how we're playing a very high press game already. And I think it's going to take a lot out of the players as well until they can adjust to it. So it helps the squad depth if when we could rotate. Because we saw Beth Mead go off with a cramp as well against Chelsea. And that's another thing that Jonas spoke about in his interview, about just having that depth to rely on, considering how many games they have to play.
Yeah, exactly. So, the other thing I wanted to touch on with you before we kind of get stuck into the nuts and bolts of the Chelsea match is the new coach. When we were talking a little bit about how you felt like you identified a new style that he had brought to the table. So tell me what you meant by that in comparison to the previous manager.
I think we're going to see us be a lot more intense in our pressing. It's very high tempo, high pressing. I think like braver and bolder as well, just in terms of attitude. And I think that's like, I mean, at least it was just the first game. I have seen them in the friendlies that we played. But that's something that struck me. It's also just the confidence on the ball and off the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. They played with a fluidity I don't think that we had seen, in a really long time.
No.
And here's the other thing too that I thought was really special about this, and I just wanted to touch on it because so important. The fact that the women got to play at the Emirates, you guys, is a huge deal.
Yes.
For those of you that aren't have just started following or, are just getting into it right now, Arsenal are one of the few teams that hadn't really played at the main club stadium. And to see this happening, and there's going to be more games there this year, which I think, Anu, is going to help help fans get there easier.
Yeah.
They're used to going to the Emirates. It's easy access for them. even the legend, even Vivian said, it's about time. And it is, isn't it? Yeah. It's about time they got to play there.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that we're also going to get to see some European football at the Emirates. Much needed.
Anu throwing a little bit of shade right there. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And don't worry, Oscar, there's a lot of credit coming in just a second for Beth Mead. We're going to get stuck into that a little bit. But here's the scoop. Leicester just got promoted. And they've committed to 8 games already at King Power. And I think, Miedema did an interview with The Guardian. I think it was with Susie Rapp.
Susie, yeah.
Yeah, who I love. We both really love her work and we love reading her stuff. And we'll give a shout out to some people at the end of the show. But she was really candid about that. It makes such a big difference. And she credited Leicester for the fact that they've come up and they've had already intent. This shows you about Leicester City Football Club as well, who want to get to the heights of a Manchester City, an Arsenal, or a Chelsea. And so I think it's really cool that Leicester City are newly promoted anew, and we're seeing their commitment to the women's game as well.
No, it is great to see. And I mean, Leicester as a club, I think you and I are on the same page about this, but they're an extremely well-run club. And it also in just terms of ambition as well, they have to compete against the likes of City and Chelsea, like all of us. But I think they've been doing a really good job of kind of magnifying what they're doing. And I think with the women's game, it's exciting to see them already commit to so much.
Yeah. Totally. All right, let's get to the game. Let's get to it. It was such a huge result. And the reason why it was a huge result, guys, is that Arsenal hadn't beaten Chelsea in the last 8 competitive matches. And Chelsea, this is an incredible stat, hadn't lost an away match in 5 years. I mean, Emma Hayes has built a powerhouse of a team and club. That alone, for the new coach to come in and get that result against Emma Hayes, against this Chelsea team. I don't know about you, Anu, but I was really surprised that she had rested Fran Kirby, she had rested Sophie Ingle and Sam Kerr. And she talked about how they'd only had 3 weeks off, whereas some of our players hadn't even had any time off. And Kerr and Kirby, I think, combined for 37 goals last season. They're known as like this lethal dynamic duo. Golden Boot, I think it was, who won the, Kerry won the Golden Boot, 21 goals. And they're just absolutely, do you think that the team were boosted by seeing them on the bench before the game started? Because really, I think Emma Hayes made a bit of a mistake there, to be honest with you.
It would have helped for sure, knowing that, they could start the game with like knowing that they didn't have to face these 2 players straight away. I'm sure it did help. But I think just like the mental preparation that you could see that the coach had already worked with for Arsenal. And I think also that made a huge difference. You could tell. Yeah. Because the last couple of seasons, we seemed to lose it mentally more than anything else against the likes of City and Chelsea. And that's what was frustrating. We seemed to give up sometimes, and other times it was tactical, but it was also like the mental aspect, even with just Joe against, Emma Hayes or one of those. Yeah. So I think mentally is where we want it to begin with. And then obviously great performance.
Yeah. It was really fantastic to kind of see, the atmosphere. And Too Extreme RKO is saying, I was at the game at the Emirates. They needed to open the stadium more because the women's team does have a following. I love going to the games at Boreham Wood. And I think everyone's enjoyed, but to see them there and to see them celebrate goals like this at the Emirates and we said it a little bit earlier, it will just bring more fans, to the match. And I think it will help. I think it will help the team kind of garner new fans, new following. And I think those things are really super important. Right. So let's get to the controversial part of the match, because I thought it was such a brilliant game. And the the intensity of it, it was definitely one of those thrillers. But Emma Hayes, face like thunder, Anu. And I've got to say, if the shoe was on the other foot, we would have been absolutely fuming with the offside goal, right? Do you agree with that?
No, I completely agree.
She's called for a VAR. It's not going to happen, not this season for sure. Talk me through that a little bit too as a fan, because it wasn't just offside. It was way offside.
It was. Like I would have, if it had been, that had happened against us, we would have been really sore about it. And like, I understand Chelsea fans being rightly so. And especially because it's such an important goal, like it was the winning goal, in such a tight game. So I do understand Emma Hayes, like, feeling hard done by, and, but also if I'm thinking about it as a fan, but also like stepping back and thinking logically, Chelsea also had quite a few really good chances to score, which they didn't put away. I mean, Kerr's header was one for sure. I mean, the moment the ball came to her, I thought, oh, she's going to score. She didn't.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of others as well. And we also missed really clear chances. Like, Mana, like her chance, she should have scored with that. So I think, in the balance of things, I'm not saying it wasn't important. It was huge, but it wasn't the only chance for us to score or go ahead. It's very difficult to say how games can go if it hadn't been given.
Yeah, she had a face like thunder. You're right, Carney. I mean, it was just, and look, she's a legend. Look, I have to put this up because Emma Hayes has really changed women's football. There's no doubt about it. She's an absolute baller. She's a brilliant coach. And, she's standing up for the women's game. And she did say that the women's game is treated like second-class citizens. And I do believe that there's still a lot of truth to that. But the game has come super far as well. And I think the steps that they've taken year on year, now they're playing at the main club stadiums. We've seen an elevation we'll get to that in a little bit, but she had every right to be angry, and it's an absolute classic.
She had the same face when she congratulated Jonas at the end as well. She was fuming.
She had to deal with Jonas, who, by the way, I loved his celebration at the end. What a guy.
I know. He does have a bit of the Klopp celebration in him.
Oh, I love it. I want more of this because it's just absolute gold. And look, I mean, it's just like, it gets better. He fell to his knees. But when you think about it, for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, I mean, the fact that we hadn't beat them in 8 competitive games, the fact that they hadn't lost away in 5 years, and a new coach coming in, this is such you said it, a mental lift and a mental block now where the team can move forward fearlessly with these new players, this new look Arsenal. But really, at the essence of it, maybe getting back, Anu, to the old school Arsenal, from that 2006-7, 8 season.
Yes. That quadruple winning team, we can definitely learn a lot from them.
Yes. Yeah. Well, look, I think that, in that same interview where Miedema was talking to Susie, she started talking about the little things like, I know Emma Hayes is complaining about VAR, but she talked about nutrition, personal coach development, training facilities. I know there's talk about building a women's building. They're getting more access to London Colney. You've got Sky, you've got BBC, new commercial opportunities. As someone who's followed the women's game for a few years now and written about it, what's your take on the fact that she's saying second-class citizens, but at the same time, too, there is clear growth and clear investment, in the women's game right now?
There is. I mean, it's not been as good as this ever. I think this is this season is going to be huge for the future of the women's game, and I think on the whole it is positive. There's a long way to go. I mean, this is just the beginning. And, the video that Sky Sports did about a lot of people who didn't know about the 50-year ban in between as well. So there is going to take we're going to take a lot of time to get to, for example, where the men's game is, because, trying to catch up. Like, in 50 years is not a small time anyway.
Right.
So I do think that it is like the contradictions about, Emma Hayes saying the second class citizens and us seeing, all this investment and opportunities in the women's game. I think the contradiction is something that exists, and it's something that we have to kind of accept as both being true in a way.
Yeah. I also think that, when you have players like Miedema come out and talk about these issues, these things, she's been around, as I said, 25 years old. She's been around the game so long now. And she's seen that even at the age of 25, it has been tough. It's been a long road. I remember standing on the sidelines covering the US women's national team before the 2012 London Olympics. And I was but maybe 4 people on a rainy night in Southern California down at LA Galaxy's home turf where, their camp is opening up and there's like 4 journalists there who want to talk to them. Now you can't even get an interview with Megan Rapinoe. They're absolute... Look, the US women's national team have been superstars for a very, very long time. But, it's trailblazers like the 99ers, the US women's national team. And now I actually think the WSL is bigger, better, bolder, more exciting than the NWSL. I mean, I really feel it's overtaken. And Emma Hayes and Jill Ellis went at it a little bit on that a couple of seasons ago as well.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember. But if Emma Hayes... If the shoe had been on the other foot, I'm not sure she's making the second class citizen comment, of course, if that had happened on the other side.
No, I agree. I think overall there is much cause for, hopeful, cautious, celebrations, because it is finally getting, at least, beginning to get the recognition and the investment it deserves. But this is just the first step. And I think if it needs to be, planned and sustained, and, there needs to be careful strategy to make sure that this momentum that we've got is maintained.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. And that's how you keep legends like, Miedema at the club. That's how you keep a Nobbs, a Williamson. By the way, can we talk a little bit about the legend that is Williamson? What? Yes. She is like... for those of you who are just getting into this, she's Tony Adams, you guys. She is a leader. She's a baller. She's unafraid. I mean, I felt like for the last 20 minutes of that match, she held the team together.
Did. Absolutely. She was incredible. I mean, yes, she was amazing. I mean, I know it was, obviously Beth gave a fantastic performance to win, player of the match. But one of my strong contenders was Williamson, just because of just how much she threw on the line in those 25 minutes at the end.
Yeah, really brilliant.
She was refusing to let anything in.
Yeah. When you look at the new signings, and then on top of that, Anu, you still have Williamson, you have McCabe, you have Mead, you have Zinsberger, you have Nobbs. What? Yeah. I mean, is this
Captain
not
Little?
Captain Little. We'll give her a bit of a shout out at the end. Dude, I feel like this is the strongest squad in years. I mean, the names just rattle off the tongue.
Rolling off.
So and then you rolling off. Thank you. But we'll rattle like snakes this year, and we'll bite people and poison them football wise. And then you add. I'm so excited about this. You add Tobin Heath. You add Iwabuchi. You add Paris.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really, really, great squad. We got a legend in the house. We got Arsenal America's Jeffrey Werner. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Jeff.
On this fine morning. Absolutely top shelf human being and a huge supporter of the women's game. Arsenal America, okay, I'll tell you this. They're up at all hours. I mean, do you remember the days where we were all searching, how do we watch this match? We were all like trying to find links online and, it's the FA Cup. And then you get the free player from the BBC and we're all sharing links and stuff like that. A huge shout out to Jeffrey, and the Arsenal America crew, Anu, who you know really well, who've done great things to support the women's game here.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Little. let's talk
Yes.
about her. I'm just going to let you talk about her. She retired from Scotland, international, 140 caps. She made her debut at 16 years old. 16 years old. Tell me why, and tell everyone why she is so special.
Well, for me, it's her attitude, it's her leadership qualities, it's the way she goes about doing her job without, I mean, she's not the most vocal of leaders, but she gets, everyone knows what to do and she can lift people up. She's a fantastic leader, but also as a footballer, you don't realize how good she is because her game's not like showy or flashy in a lot of ways, but she keeps the midfield ticking. One of the reasons why we kind of, had issues with when she was out injured, it told us a lot about how much we rely on her to keep everything ticking over. And you could see it in the Chelsea game as well.
No, you're absolutely right about that, Johnny. And look, we wanted to give a shout out to Kim because she retired from international football. Thank goodness she's not retiring from the Arsenal.
From Arsenal.
She had a little bit of a parting in the middle. Played for Seattle Reign. I mean, she's won ridiculous amount of. I think she's won 20 trophies with her club, her various clubs. It's incredible. She's played in the Euros. She's played in the World Cup. Injury kept her out of one of the tournaments recently, but she is an absolute baller. I've got a question for you from Johnny Boy. Do you think that the Arsenal team can be consistent in the smaller games as well as the bigger ones? A London derby, you win that, gives you the momentum. What's your take?
I think they can be. I mean, it does remain to be seen because we've had we have a new management. The issue, all of us had, like under Joe the past 2 years, was that they were losing against their direct rivals, but they were playing, winning and playing and dominating all the others. So I'm hopeful that they can keep that up. But, we've added this thing of, defeating the likes of Chelsea now, for example. Like we've shown that it can be done, so I do think they can still maintain what we were doing against the smaller teams last season and the season before that.
Yeah, I will agree with you. And I do think one of the most critical things is how they've really invested in those 3 players we've talked about to help Miedema in that front line, because that to me is the biggest thing of all. God forbid, she gets, carries a knock or something. There's options now.
Yes.
There are creative options now. And I think that we'll see us scoring a lot more goals, and we'll challenge Chelsea, we'll challenge Manchester City. It's not going to be easy, you guys. I mean, Chelsea will be back, but losing to your rivals in the WSL, Anu, is huge, isn't it? Because there's 22 games in the league, and if you lose one of those big games, it's tough. But we'll see what happens. Our resident Leicester City fan, Sidan, is in the house, bragging about games being played at the King Power Stadium. We always appreciate you coming and visiting. Thank you so much. Come on, 100 likes for a classic joke from Mr. Bungle. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. Just a few minutes left here with Anu. Get any other questions in that you want. We have one here from Hemant. What do you guys think our chances are in the Champions League with this team? Oh, that's a good one. How many teams do you think are better than us on that stage? Anu, over to you.
I think our chances are better than they were last season, for sure. Because, we have a much deeper squad. So hopefully we'll have, we have that squad depth and that rotation we were talking about. And also, it remains to be seen how we, whether we manage to be consistent with the brand of football that we saw against Chelsea. In terms of how many teams that are better than us, I would still say, Chelsea and Man City are the teams to beat from the league, from WSL. But then you also have Barcelona, you have Lyon, you do have the likes of Wolfsburg, and all of them are strong teams. And I think all of them. So I would say we still have a while to go to PSG, exactly. So there are I would say 5 odd teams, or for sure that are ahead of us that we need to kind of live up to, or at least compete against.
I would completely agree with that. Lyon are just dominant. The teams that you mentioned, 100%. And now everyone wants me to bring Vinny out. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Anu, but I'm going to do it because the crowd have asked for it.
Okay.
Look, Vinny's here. Hit that like button. Let us know you enjoy it. It's our first women's football show this season here. It's on the Highbury squad. We're going to have a lot more coming to you this season. Reports from the ground, interviews, some other journalists too. Anu will be one of our residents. So make sure you hit that like button. Our team is really special, and you guys are asking all the right questions, except of course for our Leicester City fan. What would it cost to bring Miedema to Leicester? I got tongue-tied on her name at the top. It's Miedema, the way it's pronounced, by the way. It will cost you 0 because we're not selling her to you, okay? You can't have her.
She's ours. She's our goat. Have her. We are keeping her.
Are you bummed that we sold VVD? Are you bummed?
I am.
No, do you think that we've replaced losing a character like that? Because I think we have. I think that I'm sad about both her and Jill Roord. I do think someone mentioned Jill
because they were crucial players for us. The last couple of years, especially Van de Donk. But I think overall, when I look back at the window, I think it may not be like for like that way, but I think we have more than enough talent and superstars and like characters and personalities in there. Though I would say that with Van de Donk out, Leia remains our top choice for getting her cards, getting into little things with the referees.
Yeah. Our Demian will be back for one of the women's episodes too. Another a great guy. He's on the road right now playing percussion for the Jonas Brothers, guys. So he will be back hosting a couple of these shows as well. And I said, it's too early for me. I called it's DVD, and I said, look, if you put, he wanted to get a tattoo. And I'm like, dude, you're going to regret that tattoo. He goes, I will never, ever regret that tattoo. And once a week, at least, he reminds me of his love for her because he keeps sending me the same picture of when he met up with the girls when they were performing there. Let's get to this question. Where is it? From Ask. What's your thoughts on Hannah Bennison?
I haven't seen her play all that much.
Enough.
Just on her own, to be honest. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I don't really. I'm going to pass that question to you.
There's a lot of players that you're going to see that are going to emerge from this team, and of course, with the new signings and a lot of opportunity for some of the players to shine and emerge. I think this new coach is going to give the team a chance. He's going to have 3 or 4 competitions to be playing in. She's 18 years old, you guys. 18. Yeah. That is young. But we also just signed a 22-year-old who has 30 caps for her country, and is also going to be a huge part of the future of this club as well. So I think you guys will see some players that you may not have seen before be given an opportunity. But again, just like we're trying to protect Patino in the men's team and Balogun and Aziz and all these players, I think you'll see a lot of that protection with some of these younger women's players. But we need to see a little bit more of her, and we will. And maybe we'll do a player profile. We're going to be doing some player profiles on some of these players as well. Yes, she has been class, and she is. Said. Yeah, Imperative Views at the top of the show, we said, like I said, she's played 30 times for her country. She definitely can be a superstar. We talked a bit about Tobin at the top of the show, but we'll get to we got your question here. How can Tobin fit into the team anew? You mentioned it at the top of the show, just real quick, for those who are just joining. Let them know how you feel.
Well, I don't think she's going to start every game, and I don't think she needs to. But she's definitely the kind of player that we can, we have the luxury of having a player like her to utilize. So I expect the coach to bring her on in different ways. Like she might start some games, she might come on as a sub in others. I think having that vital option, knowing that she can come on and, create magic out of nothing is going to really help. And I do expect there to be a bit of rotation with a lot of our creative players as well.
Yeah.
So we'll
and
see.
Look, she's a baller. She's a winner. She's been in the game a long time. She has 177 caps for her country. She's won at the highest level. She's no nonsense. She's got the experience of playing in the league previously for Manchester United.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she is going to be a huge addition to the team. Tampa Bay, I love Zinsberger. She's an absolute baller. And,
she is amazing, yes.
I think she'd do well in goal against Norwich this weekend. That's for sure. And you're right about Frida. She's got that experience. Yes. She's played like for her club she played like, I don't know, like 50, 60 games for them too. Plus she's got the international experience. What I'm talking about is 22 years old playing in a new league. But yeah, I think she'll adapt. And
because her composure was impressive considering that was her, WSL debut. And but you can see already the coach trusts her so much.
Yes.
And she's doing well on it. Yeah.
Definitely. So we're short in the CDM position. Yes. Is this what is it about Arsenal and CDMs?
It does seem, yes. We have another Swiss.
Yeah, right. What's your take? Did we make a mistake by not signing cover? Are you worried about that, or do you feel like we've got a lot of players who are so versatile that can fill in the gaps?
The latter, yeah, the latter. I do think we have a lot of players who can be rotated and are versatile and can overlap. And I also think that's the kind of game that like Jonas is trying to get us to play anyway. So I do think that, and he did, that's another thing he mentioned in the interview today, where he was asked about whether he plans to rotate Zinsberger and Williams. And he said, with the goalkeeper, it's a different situation, but there is plenty of football to go around. And I do think that we have enough options to cover any, issues that might crop up during the season. Yeah. And I agree with him.
That's really good. That's a good quote too. That's good to know. I hadn't seen that yet this morning. Pete, no need to apologize, mate. Absolutely no. We're loving that you guys are all here. Please hit that like button as well. And yeah, she is a good ball playing keeper. But you know what? I know she's been criticized for set pieces, Anu. I don't know if you agree with that or not, or if it's a little bit harsh. But I think too, the confidence in the team now is going to be a little bit different. Her confidence will grow. Do you think that's a little harsh on her, or deservedly so? We're hard on Leno. The same thing, claiming crosses, 6-yard box. A lot of similarities a little bit in terms of some of the deficiencies in that creative position and the goalkeeping between the men's and women's team.
I think somewhere in the middle. I would say that that is an area she needs to improve upon, but it is also a little harsh considering how much change and rotation we've had. But I do think she's a confidence player. She seems like a confidence player. So, this Chelsea game would have done her wonders, and hopefully we can keep that up tomorrow as well. And,
well, look, no, I agree. I agree with you. You know what, the kid, I'm still learning about the women's game too. This is what I love. I'm a sponge. I like to be educated. And, like Anu's dropping me quotes from the coach. I hadn't heard those this morning. I need to learn more about Hannah and her game. Like there's a lot of players that have come in, players coming through. There are lots of really great writers out there that do a great job about the women's game. And the beauty of, something that is growing and is being nurtured is that we're learning even more about it as time goes by. Right, Anu?
Absolutely. And I was just going to say that I've been following Arsenal women since about 2012. But like I started following the larger women's game a bit later on because obviously there wasn't as much access and exposure. But even then, there's something I'm learning all the time and every day. So I think it's one of those things. You always find new ways to have all this information, and there's so many great writers producing interviews and insights and analysis. So there's a lot out there.
Tell me who some of your we'll finish on this. By the way, is there anything else you want to mention about the game? Any observations? Do you feel like we've covered it all, Anu?
I think we've covered it all. I think I would like to give a special shout out to Katie McCabe. I thought she was fantastic. And we can see like she's having a much more forward moving role She was already doing that last season, but you can see it even more prominently this season. And I thought she was absolutely fantastic against Chelsea.
That move where she headed the ball to herself on the flank. How much did you love that move? That was absolutely epic. Oh my gosh.
You could tell she did as well. She was enjoying it. She was enjoying her football, which is evident as well.
Do you know what I love about the women's team? There's not a lot. I don't think since Alexis Sanchez, the men's team has had the kind of play that brings you to your feet, that makes you kind of go like this. And I think Miedema is that, right? I think McCabe has had that in her. Mead has that in her. You know, Nobbs has had that in there. There's so many of them, I think, that have, right? And I think that's a really special trait to have.
It is. It is. No, absolutely. Like you said, you know, names rolling off the tongue. There's so many of them.
Get in, Arsenal. Let's do this. Come on. It's going to be a great season. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I think this is a bit cheeky from Johnny. How far would you say the women's team are in their process?
Well, much further in than the men's for sure. No, but I think under the new coach, this is just the first step. I mean, it was a great first step. It was a huge, you know, statement victory, I would say. But I think there's a long way to go, and we will see some of the things, like some of the errors that we saw creep in the middle of the game, like all of them. I think we will see them smoothen out as the season goes on, you know, and the coach has more time with all the players settling in.
I agree.
So there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And look, we've got to back it up now against Reading. Then we've got Manchester City. And then we've got the enemy down the road in the FA Cup quarterfinal. So there's some really, really big games.
And we play
really
Champions League tomorrow
as well.
Second leg.
Oh, well done. That's what I wanted to end on. 3-0 up already against Slavia Prague. This should be in the bag and we should move on.
I think so. Yes, absolutely. I think so too.
I think we're ready for this, and this will be a huge step again for the team. And the kid, no worries. Listen, I've been covering women's football here in the United States from 2011 with a focus on the US women's national team, and then really getting into the European football side of things as well. And the WSL I just love, and again, you know, learning every day. So stick with us this season. We'll move together, we'll cheer together, we'll learn together, we'll grow together, and just can't wait for the season ahead. Anu, Tim Stillman, he's always worth a listen, and everyone should check his stuff out over at Arsblog. A couple of your other favorites, let people know, and then you can let them know where they can find you and your writing and stuff. But a couple of other writers that we want to give a shout out to. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
I mean, we already spoke about Susie Rack. She's fantastic. And then, so Amy, obviously everyone knows Amy Lawrence, and I know she's not just about the women's game, but she's one of my favorite football, like, women writers. Absolutely fantastic. I
was going to say Molly Hudson as well from the Times.
Yes, exactly. That was going to be my next. We're on the same.
So Molly, I think Molly does a really great job and does really great pieces. And Susie Rack for The Guardian, you can go check her out there too. And of course, Tim, you guys are very familiar with. Sorry, Anu, go on, mate.
No, I was just going to say Casey Heath for The Athletic as well. She's fantastic. She does a lot of WSL, but also, you know, league, the women's football league stuff as well. And she's great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Our first episode is in the bag, and I have a feeling that we may have smashed it, Anu. What do you think? I feel good about it.
I feel good about it too. I think that apart from the rain and me cutting off, I think that was
and now my gardener's here. I don't know if you can hear him in the background, but I love so it's good timing. And Vinny, come on, hit that like button. Yeah, Vinny's back. He'll always be back. And speaking of being back, we will be back in just 3 hours' time. For a Wednesday Wisdom Show with Super Kevin Campbell and our special guest, John Smith, an Arsenal guy, ex-RAF. So everyone better behave. Otherwise, I'll unleash John on you guys as well. So we'll be back in a little bit. Anu, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yes. So on Twitter, it's at Anu Nande. So just ANUNANDE. That's where most of the football chatter happens.
Yes, and you can. And Anu links all of her work to her Twitter, so be sure to check out some of her articles. If you haven't read her review yet on the Arsene Wenger book, you should. We'll put that up for you guys in the description of this show as well. Really candid and honest as well. Anu, you have smashed it. Thank you so much for joining me. You'll be back soon. What happens next in Mumbai? What are you going to do now?
Oh, just probably just kind of maybe watch some TV with my parents, because I had an early dinner and they're having their dinner now. So we've been watching Kim's Convenience, so I'll probably just go pop on with that.
Well, look, come back, you guys, in a little bit. Super Kev will be back. And Johnny Boy, thank you so much. She is fantastic. Anu is one of my favorite women in football. And look, already getting the follows. Brilliant stuff. And we will see you in a little bit. And you know how to exit, Anu, right? You've got to...
I do.
Salute the squaddies. At ease, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.